Welcome back everyone, this is game number 2 of a best of 3 going down in the round of 16 of Go for SC2. Spawning up in the top left hand position, we have got the blue Zerg player representing Team Acer, none other than Bly. And his opponent to the lower right, up one map, therefore one win away from going into that semi-final game. Representing MaxFlow, it's souL. He had a strong performance game number 1, really just pulling apart Bly, going for those multi-prong attacks, looking to get damage down through any avenue, but really utilizing the map geography incredibly effectively. And that made it a lot of fun, because Bly, while he had a nice composition, he was unable to achieve those good concaves and the good surrounds that are required for a Zerg army to effectively approach upon a heavy tank count. Quick checks coming through from Bly right now. Completely aware that being down a game on a 2-map base or 2-base map, he could run into some problems in the form of 11-11 2-axes. Not chancing it, scouting with the drone. It does put him back a little way, considering that isn't what's going to be on the cards from souL, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And this is one of the advantages of getting that first win, getting your opponent on match point, is that they cannot take the risk. Any chances that, or any little shortcuts they take to attempt to get advantages, risks disaster. And that's really where you've got to be relatively happy being a game up, but you've also got to utilize it to your own advantage. You've got to try and find a way to just play it steady, because game number 1 really was a steady, decent game. There wasn't any point in that where souL did something that was kind of cheesy or particularly aggressive, even lucky, I wouldn't say. Now, due to all of that, souL, he should feel confident in his performance. He should be sitting there going, do you know what? I can take Bly in a straight up game, and there's no reason he shouldn't be able to. They're both Grandmaster players. They're both very good, frequently competing at this level of play, and so this could be anyone's series still. souL moving out now with his first SCV just to get that initial bit of scouting information. Unlikely to see anything too untoward. The 15 hatch is there as expected, and up in the main base, the gas getting taken. A couple of lings coming through, but nothing crazy, nothing that would really sit you kind of on the edge of your seat or perk you up. Instead, souL just going to be going, do you know what? It's what I was expecting. Bly, on the other hand, saw things that he probably wasn't expecting. A command center first opening coming down from souL. Really gunning to get a big economic lead. Probably counting upon the fact that his opponent was going for very early scouting, being very safe. And yet again, but even earlier this game, souL goes for that third command center. Bly's got a couple of lings on the field, going to be attempting to get some damage down, but he needs to get an Overlord in there. That is the only avenue he's got in order to scout this. But quite wisely by souL, he's put it to the very left of his main base, knowing that the Overlord came out to the right. It's going to be difficult to get this scout out. And that's really what Bly is banking on. Bly moving forward. Going to continue looking through. Going to say, okay, what's happening? Lings pulled out, but this could open up the front for the Zerglings to come out. The Marines quickly back into that bunker, chase it down as the Overlord retreats away. Bly pulling every trick in the book in order to just maximize his chance of seeing that all-important scouting information. Are there factories? Is there a fast third CC? Double engineering base? What are you doing? And what do I need to do against it? The Overlord coming forward. It's going to be close, but gets the scout. That is what Bly needed to know. Add in the fact that a handful of Zerglings rampaging through the natural base get a lot of pressure on. Only 4 lings. Luckily for souL, it's not enough to cause many problems, but still going to be of concern. The full scout has come down, and also an element of not fear, but preparation and caution being shown by souL. He's added in that third bunker. So we're now in a very, very similar situation to the overall idea of map number 1. And that is that souL is gunning for the mid and late game, looking to get that huge economic boost. and Bly a little behind in it. There is a staggering difference though, and that is in the form of map pressure. Game number 1, we saw souL really dominate the positioning and hold of the map early game, with those Reapers, with those Hellions/Hellbats. But this game, it's Bly with the control. He's got good overlord placement, he's got the early scout, he knows precisely what his opponent is doing and isn't feeling too threatened by it, knowing that it was a command center first into that fast third CC. Plus, seeing that second bunker is actually another giveaway. A Terran player at this level won't incorporate a second bunker at the front unless he knows that he needs to be relatively careful. And a careful Terran isn't one that's got a staggeringly large army that could be getting aggressive. That's just not one that needs to get that second bunker down. So Bly from that can deduce that, okay, my opponent is feeling nervous, he's taking a lot of greedy risks, I don't need to get out much of an army. Instead, I can just pump everything into my tech, everything into my economy, and hope to catch up that way. And Bly is for the moment. He's up at 62 drones already, fully saturated the minerals at his third base. Adding in a macro hatch and his lair is just really giving him the complete picture ready for this mid game. Both of these two happy to get to those later stages, but with souL adding in now that armory, he can morph these Hellions into Hellbats and attempt to try and find some damage output towards this third base. A lot of drones there, and due to Bly playing it very greedy himself, he doesn't actually have much in the way of defense. There's 14 Lings about to pop out, but they will not have speed if these Hellions move in now. Plus a Banshee, it's actually enough to deal some relatively significant damage. The longer souL waits though, the more opportunity Bly has to mount a better defense. Get out more units. He's already adding in 8 more Zerglings, already adding in that Baneling nest. Scans just being used at the moment, clearing out that creep spread. We'll get all of the active creep streams moving towards his base. But with the Queens now coming forward, there's no choice but to retreat. Those Queens, very beefy units, able to take a bit of brawling before getting taken down. However, souL, he's already got his third up. Bly needs the fourth, that's currently getting assaulted by the Hellions and Banshee. Morphing into Hellbats just for the higher damage output, and this is a hatch that doesn't look too healthy. In the red, will be cancelled, and souL buys himself a little bit more time on equal bases. For a Terran player, being on equal bases is everything you could ever hope for, realistically. Sure, you're going to get those odd games where you get a base up somehow. Sure, you're going to get those games where you destroy and obliterate everything in the middle line of the natural. But most games, against an equally skilled opponent, being on equal bases is a nice footing to be on. That's where you can feel ahead. You know your production's looking good. You know the Zerg's production isn't looking so comfy. Things aren't dire yet though for Bly. He does have a macro hatch up, so he's got that added production, the additional lava there. The unfortunate thing for him though, is if we take a look at his queen count, while it's at 8, he doesn't yet have any injecting up in his main. A slight bit of oversight, just repositioning queens into a defensive spot, means that he did miss a few lava injects. A bit of a shame for him, not ideal, but should be something that he can really catch back up with and shouldn't cause long-term problems. Double Hellbat drop now coming through, but we'll get caught out by some of these mutas. A little bit of damage. One medevac gets away and is going to be a small distraction, dropping or attempting to drop up into the main just to try and get a few more drone kills. Should be able to rack up a couple there, but it's actually the Queens acting as a big aggro draw. Prevents no more than... Actually, wow. Not a single drone died from that. Over on the right-hand side of the map, though, things not looking so cushy. We've got a big Terran push assaulting this fourth base. The hatch is finished. It can't be cancelled. The Banelings, the Lings, they've got to get some good hits, but in they all come. The Widowmine's going to try and connect, but they were a bit late to the party. Quite a few Marines were taken down, but even more still survived. This fourth hatch taking a good beating. Lings attempting to come forward. We'll get the wraparound, but up against Marines, not going to trade that efficiently with the medevac support there. Upgrade advantage is also over on souL's side. He's at 2-2 compared to 1-1. Things looking nice for him. +2. About to click in for Bly, but Mutas, they're taking such a hit. A Queen falls to a Widow Mine there, but better than a big group of Banelings. The Queens really playing a vital role in this defense, doing everything that they can to try and hold all of this, but yeah, everything is looking quite creative right now. Bly positioning his army up. Good scan there from souL. Sees exactly how many Banelings there are. He wants this hatch dead. Killing off this 4th hatchery guarantees him a better economy for quite a long while. Still the Banelings are morphing, and all these Banelings taking up gas, preventing further teching, but essential to try and hold. With a Thor in the mix as well, it gets even more scary for those Mutas. The splash damage could come through. The 4th hatch goes down, and that is a big pick off for souL. Able to put himself back into equal bases with Bly, and Bly is really starting to falter with the damage that's coming through. Another attempt to create some more creep. Always a good thing. Make sure that you can't get flanked too easily. Deny some vision from the Zerg. So, just staying quite careful with any way he can try and move in. Big flock of Mutas. Have to be very cautious. Where is the Thor? Thor is here. Ready to get that splashes. Nice push through though. In come the Mutalisks. They're going to be gunning straight for those tanks. The Banelings, the Lings, they get some great connections. With the Thor falling, the Mutalisks can feel a lot more safe. And Bly cleans up the majority of that push. But with reinforcements constantly coming across, it's one of these never-ending sieges. It looked quite good initially, and I thought Bly had managed to break this position, but the stream of infantry is just never-ending. Just look at it all. Look at just how much is coming across this map at the moment for souL. He's just getting a lot of units out, repeatedly trading pretty solid, and that's giving him this strong position. By denying the 4th base of Bly, he forces the Zerg onto an equal income as his own, and that's always going to favour the Terran. Bly has been unable to crush the entire force, and due to that has never regained map control. souL now looking to assault into the rear of the natural base. There's quite a few Banelings here, but they're going to be relatively choked up if they want to get down this ramp. More Banelings morphing in, but this of course tying up gas into Banelings as opposed to elsewhere for Bly. And only on 6 Vespian geysers is going to make that gas oh so important. Mutas counter-attacking, trying to take down units as they reinforce through, but this is causing a problem for Bly at his natural. He doesn't have enough units to stop that yet. With Marines being pulled back, the 4th base of souL still looks okay. The natural base of Bly, however, is down to orange health, getting into the red now. And Bly is not looking to try and stop that. He's pulling back the Mutalisks, doesn't try to prevent falling, and down goes that natural. Another mining base falling at the hands and the rifles and the shells of the Terran. Still the Mutas darting back and forth. Will snipe a tank that's all on its own. Always good Muta control there. But souL preparing for the multi-prong. He loses this army at the natural base for quite a few Baneling detonations, but he denies the 4th yet again. There is a hidden base coming down for Bly right next to his opponent, but getting drones there will be tough. Being on only 2 mining bases and 3 hatches at the moment is really hurting Bly. He doesn't have the production, doesn't have the income, and souL is really closing his grip. Just winding tight to the vice, and Bly, he just doesn't have too much really at his disposal. His income just isn't there. His economy to keep throwing these expensive gas-heavy armies is struggling, specifically on the gas front. Look at this gas difference. Bly mining less, well, nearly half of that actually, of souL. And souL is going for a predominantly bio-tank composition. Gas is not at the forefront of his attention. Still though, these tanks edging on by, looking to get any more damage done. Get a few early shells off, and anything like that is always going to be so strong. The Thor's moving in as well. More Lings just edging back. Bly knows that soon he's going to have to go for this. Going forward now, the tanks are nicely spread. A couple unsieged though. Bly trying to get those connections down. A quick pickup on the Thor keeps it alive for the moment. The Marines moving on in will get a lot of kills on the Mutas, plus a massive, massive Thor hit. souL takes game number 2. He takes the series, and he advances forward to the semi-final over Bly.